time, I would like to call the meeting to order. Today is January 4th, 2022. This is the Howell Township Council reorganization meeting, and we're actually / regular meeting. It is 7:07, and I would like to begin with the opening statement, please.
Okay, my apologies. My camera doesn't seem to be working. Okay, this meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the notice of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News, by posting it on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements in the Township Municipal Building, and by filing it with the municipal clerk on December 21st, 2021 and December 28th, 2021. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken.
At this time, I would like to say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And please, let's remember all of the people who have fallen from COVID recently, and all of our first responders, our police, and everyone who's keeping us safe. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
AirPods to work, Victoria.
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Would you like me to take the roll call, attendance roll call, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bonovich,
Present.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
You're on mute, Councilwoman.
I see that she's here though. Councilwoman Richmond,
Present.
Mayor Berger.
Present.
Thank you.
At this time, nominations for deputy mayor.
I'd like to nominate Councilwoman Pamela Richmond for Deputy Mayor.
May I have a
Nice.
second?
I second the motion.
Roll call?
Okay, Councilman Bonovich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
No.
The motion has passed.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would like to begin the report of.
May I,
Township-
excuse me, Mayor? I need to restore.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So please forgive me. That was an absolute, forgive me, please. Deputy Mayor, we'd like to hear from you.
I've asked our Township Attorney Joe Clark to swear me in with oath of allegiance.
Would you raise your right hand, please? I state your name,
I, Pamela Richmond,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the State of New Jersey,
the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear
and that I will bear
true faith and allegiance
true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further
I do further
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Deputy Mayor
Deputy Mayor
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Deputy Mayor
Thank you.
Richmond.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, would you have any remarks?
I just want to thank my Republican councilwomen for supporting me in my endeavor as deputy mayor. I promise, just like I took the oath, to serve the public and do the best that I can. And I'm looking forward to work with all the new appointed people who have applied, all the professionals, and even Councilman Bonovich and you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I have the report of officials. So I would like to begin. I would like to read into the record a letter that we received regarding the proposed reappointment of the Shade Tree Commission. It was sent to all of us on council as well as the township. Mayor Berger and Township Council, I am writing to you on behalf of the current members of the Shade Tree Commission, the STC or Commission, all but one of whom were appointed by the mayor and all whose respective terms expire at varying times. To oppose the proposed reappointment of the STC at the Township Reorganization Meeting, the members include Lisa Dowd, Andre DeGarmo, Crystal Diaz, Gabriella Combs, Richard Mertens, Mark Parisi, Jerry Barron, and Dawn Van Brunt. I am not writing on behalf of Valerie McPhee, whose term is expiring on 12/21. On January 4, 2022, on both procedural and substantive grounds, both the council has neither sought a judgment from Superior Court declaring its current ordinance 2-43 C 2019 unlawful and void, nor has properly noticed and adopted a revised ordinance returning the power to appoint STC members to the council itself or to transfer to the township manager. The council should take no action at this time and the status quo should prevail. That is, the mayor should make all appointments necessary to fill any current vacancies and the council must decide on how it is going to proceed moving forward. The question of whether the council, the mayor, the manager, or all three have the authority to appoint members to the independent policymaking commission, such as the STC, is an open question and not one that should be resolved without appropriate judicial intervention. New Jersey Appleseed Public Interest Law Center is a nonprofit 501c3 organization which has a government accountability project under which we have decided to represent the members of the STC. Each of these members understood their appointments to be proper at the time made, have served in good faith, and through their dedicated and competent service have served the public interest. The township recently paid for many of them to attend the Rutgers Corps training in accordance with the New Jersey Urban and Community Forestry Program, and paid for them to attend the annual New Jersey Shade Tree Federation Conference. Truncating their tenure is simply due to a change in opinion of the township attorney is unfair to my clients and is contrary to law and sound public policy. First and foremost, it is not clear as a matter of law that the council cannot give the mayor power to appoint STC members under the manager-council form of government pursuant to its authority to provide for the manner of appointment of any land use board or advisory commission it is authorized to create under New Jersey SA 47:69A-through 89. As you know, Howell Township adopted a council manager form government in 1993 pursuant to the ordinance number 0-93-3. The township charter that was adopted at that time indicates that the Howell STC predated this change in form of government. See Article 7, Section 2-7.4. The Shade Tree Commission is heretofore established, and it should be noted that the charter, it starts that way. And it should be noted that in the charter, the STC is sandwiched between Section 27-3 concerning the planning board and 27-5, the reestablishment of zoning of adjustment. Both boards are considered independent quasi-judicial bodies, explicitly specified in NJSA 40:69A-through 89. See City of Clifton versus Zweller, 36N, New Jersey, 309 N1, 1962, noting the absence of such provision in the Special Manager Act of 1923. See also Howell Township Ordinance 0-04-22, 188-193B1 permits requiring planning and/or zoning boards to refer certain subdivision and site plan applications to STC and Environmental Commission for a report and non-binding recommendation. Most telling as to whether NJSA 40-69A-89 is applicable is the fact that the Howell Township Council retained the authority to appoint STC members for itself until 2019, nearly 26 years, without any challenge to its authority or to do so. Notwithstanding the lack of a legal challenge or the publication of judicial decision denying its appointment power, the council adopted ordinance number 0-19-4, reassigning the authority to appoint STC members from itself to the mayor on February 19, 2019. At the time this amendment was adopted, the town attorney explained to the council and the public that the change was necessary to ensure the township's ordinance were consistent with New Jersey SA 4764-1, which states the member and the alternative members of the STC shall be appointed by the mayor or other chief executive officer of the municipality. Now the township attorney is modifying his previous position, citing NJSA 4769A through 98. He argues that the power to appoint STC members lies exclusively with the town manager. However, it is not clear whether the scope of NJSA 4769A-98 should be limited to the administrative function, as the New Jersey Supreme Court discussed in the City of Clifton, Super 36, New Jersey, NJ at 325, and thus does not even apply to the situation at hand. New Jersey NJSA 40-69 through 98 reads in part, any provision of general law conferring the appointing power or other power upon the mayor or other executive head of the municipality shall be construed as meaning the municipal manager and municipality governed under this article. New Jersey Supreme Court in Clifton stated an automatic provision transferring mayoral appointments to the manager, such as NJSA 40-69A through 98, is therefore amendable to the policy construction that it is referenced to the administrative posts, appointment of which were given to the mayor under other forms of government or general statutes, and not to members of policymaking or quasi-judicial agencies. In support of my client's position, that is it is uncertain whether NJSA 40-69A through 98 applies to the power to appoint STC members. It should be noted that among the 18 of the 42 New Jersey municipalities that operate under the council manager form of government and which have STC or similar shade tree advisory committee, STC members are appointed by the township council in 13 and by the mayor in 3 and by the manager in 2. Similarly, 32 of the 42 municipalities have an environmental commission or a similar environmental advisory committee. And in 19 of them, the mayor appoints the members of the environmental commission. 11 council appoints, and in 3, the manager assigns the power. As a result of this survey of various municipalities governed by the council manager form of government under the Faulkner Act, it appears that with respect to the STC and the environmental commission, the council does have the authority to provide the manner of appointment of the STC and environmental, and that its decision is not limited to giving the authority to the town manager. At minimum, the question of who has the appointment has not been resolved. It therefore follows that town council should not prematurely end the tenure of current STC members until it is secured an advisory opinion from judicial branch of government declaring that the council does not have the authority to give the mayor the power to appoint STC members pursuant to NJSA 40-69A through 89. And that such appointment power rests solely with the town manager. Regardless of whether the town council decides to go to court, it cannot appoint any members to STC prior to adopting a new ordinance. Only after the council adopts an ordinance specifically amending ordinance number 0-19-4 to provide that STC members shall be appointed by town manager, would the manager have the authority to do so. If the council insists at that point that ordinance number 0-19-4 is invalid and contrary to state law, common law principles regarding de facto of officers and fairness dictate that the manager should reappoint current members of the STC retroactive to the date that they were first appointed by the mayor and permit them to serve the remaining portion of their terms. Starting in 2019, after the adoption of ordinance number 0-19-4, the mayor relied on the advice of the town attorney and presumed the ordinance to be valid. She then proceeded to appoint most of the existing members of the STC to a 5-year term in accordance with NJSA 40-64-2. Similarly, members of the STC presumed their appointments to be valid and accepted their appointed positions in good faith. As such, these members are de facto officers whose appointments were made under the color of a known and valid appointment, even if there was want of power in the appointing body. City of Jersey City versus Department of Civil Service, 57 NJ Super 13, 23. The Appellate Division of 1959 finding that the Jersey City intended and created a position list in an ordinance and indeed believed that it had legally and effectively done so. The doctrine of de facto officers dictates that even if the council continues to insist that the mayor did not have the authority to appoint them de facto officers without de jure office, their appointments should be considered valid so far as they involve the interests of the public and the third persons. The city of Jersey City, Super 57, New Jersey, Super Dot at 28, where public or rights of innocent third parties dictate that the acts of de facto public body be treated as valid. That is, no person should be able to challenge any decision made by the STC nor dispute the validity of any report issued by the STC based on the mayor's alleged lack of authority, which my clients deny, to appoint its members. Furthermore, because everyone involved acted in good faith, it is appropriate to extend this doctrine to permit my clients to demand reappointment to the STC under revised ordinance and to enable them to serve out the rest of their term. City of Jersey City, Super 57 NJ Supra at 44 through 45, where court found that the plaintiff was de facto officer who was thus entitled to certain reemployment rights against the municipality under civil service statutes. Retroactive reappointment is thus the legal and correct thing to do. In short, the members of the STC respectfully request that the township manager refrain from taking any action regarding the STC appointments at the reorganization meeting. The question of whether the township council can give the mayor and or the manager the authority to appoint the members of the STC is an open question. And until it is resolved by the court, the township council should not shorten the tenure of the current members. This is respectfully submitted by Renee Steingegen, Esquire, Executive Director of the NJA. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second. I personally have something that I would like to say. In 2019, this council passed an ordinance granting the mayor the authority to appoint members of the Shade Tree Commission. This ordinance remains in effect. I do not consent to the town manager unlawfully usurping my mayoral authority to appoint the members of the Shade Tree Commission until an ordinance has been introduced and a public hearing held amending the ordinance. Additionally, past mayors, and including myself, have made appointments to the Environmental Commission and the Class 2 member of the Planning Board. I was duly elected as mayor by the residents of Howell. I was not chosen appointed mayor by this council. There are policy-making appointments. They are not administrative. It is my mayoral right to continue to exercise these authorities with respect to the appointments unless and until a court has determined otherwise. Thank you. Mr. Bonovich.
Is everyone still there? I'll make this brief. Just to back up that letter. I mean, it's a long letter. I'm not going to repeat it. The current Shade Tree appointments were made with this council under a current Howell ordinance. It's been acted on for the last couple of years. I'm of the opinion of, we have plenty of judgments where we say, all right, this is grandfathered in, or appointments or approvals by the ordinance that's been in time. And these volunteers were appointed with a known ordinance and it's been acted upon. So I ask that, you know, we keep them on. I don't think, you know, we don't have an ordinance to replace this ordinance. I say we do it properly. It's unfair. I think these volunteers should remain on for their term. That was the ordinance in place. I really feel bad. They're volunteers, they're residents of the town. And, you know, every couple of years, it seems like we toss them out. That's not right. They're putting in their time. So let's do it right. This is my objection to moving forward with the manager making these appointments tonight. I think we need an ordinance on the books. That's how I feel, guys. Moving forward, 2022, here we are. So grab coffee, so grab my Howell Times, you can see it. And the title is 2021, the year of Howell heated debates. It's a shame. Here we are in 2022 with an election year. We have all these debates up here. There's a lot of political theater. We're not doing the work. I ask that we all just get together and do the work. I know we say it every year, but it's got to stop. And this political theater, if the questions come up, you know what? We all should ignore them and move on. Let's just get to work. I can't have another year of this. We need to get our parks improved, our roads paved, enhance our services, and pass a good budget. I just ask that, you know, everyone has the courage to work together. I know I have it. And I really hope that we do it in 2022. We had 2 years of this pandemic and we got nothing done. I just don't want to see a third year of the bickering up here. So let's get it done, guys.
Deputy Mayor.
Hi, yeah, so I wanted to bring up a couple of things as well, and to piggyback off of Councilman Bonovich. It's funny about the political theater, yet you guys couldn't even nominate me or vote for my deputy mayor. If that doesn't show divisiveness, Councilman, I'm speaking. I didn't interrupt you. So are you on mute? I'm just asking. Excuse me. Is that talk about political theater? I've been here just as long as you, Councilman Bonovich. I think I've done as much work as everybody else, and yet you guys can vote unanimously for Evelyn O'Donnell and Tommy Russo, and it's my turn. So don't give me the whole political theater stuff because that, in my mind, is just as divisive as you point fingers at everybody else. So with that said, I just also want to remind the public that while you can stand there and grandstand about what's happening today with Shade Tree and environmental, that happened 2 years ago to the people that were on there. So what about those poor people that were also fired? So it works both ways. Let me remind you all of that. It cuts both ways. So I want to remind the people that are on here now who have short memories that this was done wrong 2 years ago as well, when all the people who are on that commission got fired as well in midterm. Number 3 is there is also Christmas tree pickup next week. We posted on the Facebook page. Please put your trees out. Thank you. Have a great day. Happy New Year, everybody.
My pick was Evelyn.
So is mine. Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Hello, I am Councilwoman O'Donnell, and I choose really not to even say anything at this point because already I'm disgusted. So let's just move right along. Thank you.
Councilwoman Brennan.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off by wishing everybody a happy and healthy 2022. Had a rough 2021, and I look forward to 2022 turning that page. Hopefully I get healthy as well. I do want to say how much I am looking forward to the future and getting work done. I think there's a lot we can do for our town. I am a huge a huge believer in getting the work done. And one of the first things I hope that we address in 2022 is how to allocate the 2.4 million that we received through the American Rescue Plan, the ARP dollars. I know that we'll be getting a second tranche of that in the spring. So I think it's really important that we figure out how to allocate those dollars. So I would ask if we could please put that on next meeting's agenda so we can have that really important conversation, because that money can be used. I know it doesn't seem like much and it might not go too far, but at the same time, we do have an opportunity to use it and do some good. So I would like to bring that to everybody's attention. And I'd also like to bring to attention, I know that we've received, I believe everybody on the governing body has received an, excuse me, I'm sorry, an updated meeting protocol policy and other social media policies for our consideration as well. I think that a lot of work has gone into that, and I think it's a really important topic. Both of them are, to be fair. I think it's really important to look at the meeting protocol because, you know, the last couple of years of meetings, I think it's gotten away from what they really are. What these meetings really are intended to be are working meetings for our governing body to get the work of the public done. And sometimes we go very sideways from that. And I think it's really important for us as a governing body to come together and look to our protocol that's already in place, tweak it as necessary so that we can run our meetings in a most efficient way and effective, and absolutely give our public the opportunity to comment, because that's really important. But the way that we've done it the last couple of, or for a long time actually, has been disrespectful to the whole process, and especially to the governing body, because again, this is our meeting and the public is absolutely positively welcome and encouraged to speak up. I always want to hear from the public. It's really, really important to me on many levels, but the way it's gone back and forth has been very challenging. So I hope that we can also add that to the next agenda. I thank our professionals for getting that together and looking at that. So if we could please add that for the next meeting's consideration. And then beyond that, I just want to keep doing good things for this town. I think it's really important that we start talking about smart development and not just, just massive over stating of some of the ideas and facts. I think we need to start drilling down to figure out how we can actually do things specifically to help our town we keep the rural quality that we know and love, and yet deal with all the applications that are going to be coming in throughout 2022 and beyond. So, but first and foremost, if we could please just address the ARP dollars as well as the social media policies and the meeting protocol. And I'm sorry for my dog. She's going to whine in the background once in a while. I apologize.
Thank you. Mr. Geoghegan?
Good evening. A few quick things on the DPW front. As Deputy Mayor Richmond had indicated, DPW is starting their Christmas tree collection on the 10th of January this year. A reminder to the residents that all lights, ornaments, and stands must be removed from the trees. I know our DPW has been in contact with some of the beachfront communities that look to use some of the discarded Christmas trees for part of their dune replenishments. So that's still in the works. They completed their second and final round of brush pickup on December 29th. To date, they've taken approximately 716 loads of leaves, and they've completed our 2021 road striping program and filled 65 potholes, 3 of which were reported by residents. The one thing too that I would ask on the agenda with regard to the order of appointments, I would ask that if the manager's appointments could be moved to directly following the council appointment of professionals. One of the council appointments is contingent upon who I appoint to one of the boards. So if we're going to proceed in that, I would just ask that we change that order. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Sure. So I think we all received the same letter. I'll briefly address it. So as everybody's aware, we amended ordinance pertaining to the Shade Tree Commission in 2019. And I think it was ordinance 019-4 or 019-44. At that point, the letter correctly notes, we changed our ordinance to harmonize it with the state shade tree statute. And as the letter also correctly notes, the state shade tree statute refers to appointments made by the mayor or other chief executive officer of the municipality. At the time, my opinion was that, the mayor's picks were the mayor's picks, and it was not without controversy, obviously, especially because basically in the middle of the term, the existing Shade Tree Commission was terminated and new appointments were made. There was no waiting till reorg or anything like that. So it was done quickly. Fast forward, as a result of that, I asked our council to look over the statute again, to look over the Faulkner Act, in particular, the Ordinance -98, and to opine on whether or not the Faulkner Act has an impact on the mayoral appointments versus the manager's appointments. And the opinion by council was that it did. And I distributed a memo from council to that effect to everybody in March. And at that time, Mayor, you responded and said that you were going to get an opinion from your own attorneys, which to date we have not seen. In November, I believe Councilwoman Richmond raised the issue again. What are we going to do with this? We have this memo, and whose pick is it? At that point in time, I reiterated that I stood behind the memo and that under the Faulkner Act, the manager's picks are basically what the mayor's are. It states it in the Faulkner Act at -98. It states it in our ordinances. And I'll read it very quickly because it says the same thing as the Faulkner Act. And this is section 2-13C of our ordinances. Pursuant to the charter, any provision of general law conferring the appointing power or other power upon the mayor or other executive head of the municipality shall be construed as meaning the township manager. And the appointments or the power exercised by the manager in accordance with such provision shall be classified and given the same force and effect as if executed by the official named therein, with certain exceptions that statutorily are the mayor's. That dovetails with the Faulkner Act. The mayor's position in a council manager form of government is very weak. You're a member of council and your duties are delineated at section -87, which NJSA 40:69A-87, where it says the mayor shall preside at all meetings of the municipal council, shall have a voice and vote in its proceedings. She shall fill vacancies occurring in the trustees of the public library and in the Board of Ed, where the municipality is operating under Chapter 6 of Title 18. For such terms of office as are provided by law, all bonds, notes, contracts, and written obligations of the municipality shall be executed on its behalf by the mayor, or in the event of his or her inability to act, by such councilman as the municipal council shall designate to act as mayor during his absence or disability. This is the important part. The powers and duties of the mayor shall be only such as are expressly conferred upon him by this article. So your power is only what's set forth in that statute. The Faulkner Act grants other powers of appointment to the manager. Our ordinances grant other powers of appointment to the manager. Our ordinance was amended to be consistent with the Shade Tree state statute. And as a result, I don't think there's any question, because not only did we get the opinion of one council, at your request, we asked another one of our attorneys for an opinion, and Mr. Bear agreed with Mr. Dasty that the Faulkner Act does control and that it does provide for the manager to make the mayor's picks. Now, the suggestion that we need to go to court to get permission to amend our ordinances or otherwise take action as a municipality is ludicrous. It's without foundation in New Jersey law. We don't need to go to court to get permission. We're a body corporate under state law. Additionally, the suggestion that we should get an advisory opinion from the court is challenged by multiple court decisions there, where the court says, from trial court all the way up to the Supreme Court, courts do not give advisory opinions. They only deal with actual cases or controversy. So I'm not about to go to court and ask a judge, is what we did okay? We don't have to, and there's no provision under the law for us to do so. So the interpretation of the statute may not be something that people like, but it is correct. And it is what the Faulkner Act provides, and it's consistent with our charter. It's consistent with our existing ordinances. And again, you know, I may have thought at one point in time that the mayor's picks were the mayor's picks, but I always reserve the right to be wrong and to correct myself. And for us to operate completely under the law in an absolute correct manner, that's what we need to do. We could have made the change in March, but we didn't. We're waiting till reorg as a courtesy to everybody that was on the board. And I suppose we'll have to wait to see if anybody remains afterwards. I don't know who's going to be picked. I don't know if anybody here knows. So, you know, we will have to see. But in the meantime, again, there's a tacit threat of litigation in that letter. So that is all I'm going to say about it, other than, you know, the opinion of counsel is correct, and we'll defend it if need be.
Okay, I would like to open the hearing of citizens and public comment, please.
Okay, any members of the public that wish to address the governing body, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Right now I have a Mr. Ed Johnson.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Berger, Council. I'm Ed Johnson, Executive Director of Governmental Affairs for Brookdale Community College. And on behalf of our president, Dr. David Stout, I wanted to wish everyone well, a healthy and happy new year. Congratulations to Deputy Mayor Richmond, and congratulations to one of Brookdalians' own, Suzanne Brennan, for joining the council. Thank you, Mayor Berger, for working with us this year. We appreciate all of your support and the support of the council members. So we wish everyone a happy and a healthy new year, and we wish you success in this new year as well. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, Ed.
Okay, next I have a Mr. Dan Ribet. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name.
It's ribbit like a frog. Thank you, everyone, and good evening. I wanted to speak up and echo my approval of the letter that Mayor Berger read into the record, as well as Mayor Berger's comments. I am familiar and appreciative of the work that's done by the Shade Tree Commission, and as Councilman Bonovich said, they are volunteers that, you know, I think what we look from all our citizens is to be active and give time and to give back to the community. And, you know, I think when volunteers choose to take on those efforts, that we need to support that and applaud that. While I'm not a lawyer, and, you know, I listened intently to all the explanations given as to why the change is appropriate. I have to be honest, it does, you know, lead me to question if it's inappropriately partisan to change the stance that the mayor doesn't have the right to make these appointments at this point in time. And I hope that ultimately the council will choose to let the current members of the Shade Tree Commission serve out their terms. Thank you.
Okay, any other members of the public wish to address the governing body? Please raise your hand. I have a Sherry Rivas.
Hello. I am also, just as the past person said, not an attorney. I did not read the ordinances prior to this meeting. But I would like to say that it does feel like there is political grandstanding happening right now. Volunteers and residents of Howell are being brought into this political grandstanding, and I find that very disturbing. as was said earlier, these are volunteers and residents that have committed to the term that they were appointed to. It was already stated earlier in the meeting that as a taxpayer, I've paid for them to be trained and go different places to learn how to appropriately be on this trade commission, or Shade Tree Commission. So I find it concerning that Deputy Mayor Richmond said that this cuts both ways, meaning that prior other volunteers were told that they had to end their terms early, and she's concerned about that. I would hope, given that you're concerned about those people in the past in 2019 or whatever year it was, that you would also be concerned about the current members, and that it shouldn't cut both ways. If it was wrong to do that to people 3 years ago, then it's wrong to do it to people now. And I hope it's not an eye for an eye to say that all of these people, Lisa Dowd, Andre DeGarmo, Crystal Diaz, all these people, they've been appointed, they've been trained, there's an expectation, they've put work in. Why in March or prior to was this ordinance looked at again? It feels like it's political. Is it because the mayor is a Democrat? Now all of a sudden we want to take authority or appointment authority away from her? When Mr. Clark said it's appropriate for the manager to appoint the mayor's picks. That statement right there does not make sense to me. If they are the mayor's picks, then let the mayor appoint them. If we're going to change something, it should be brought, debated, what the new ordinance would be. And I would hope that every council member would agree to keep the current people in place, that they would be completing their terms, and that this isn't a cut both ways scenario. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Lisa Dowd. As people come in, I would ask that you turn your cameras on so we can see you as well. I know Councilwoman O'Donnell is having some technical difficulties, as was our deputy clerk. So,
Brian, can we also please include name and address, please?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Lisa, you are free to talk. If you could state your name, address, and please turn on your camera.
Okay, I think my camera's on. Let me double check. Okay, I'm working on the camera part.
Okay.
My name is Lisa Dowd. I live at 93 Merrick Road in Howell, New Jersey. I just wanted to, I had a bunch of stuff written down that I was going to say, but I just want to say, I put in my application 2 years ago to volunteer. I had no idea what committee or commission I was going to get appointed to, and I really didn't care. I just wanted to serve my community, and that's why I did this. So, this is very personal to me because I've had the opportunity to work with this group of people for 2 years, and I know the kind of people that they are, and I know the kind of work that they do, and I know how much they care about their community, and I know how much time I personally have sacrificed writing grants and doing proposals and working on projects, all so I can do something good for my community. And that's all it was about. There was no political agenda. There was no personal agenda. It was just something that I wanted to do to make my community a better place, to see the people in my community come together and work on projects that we could all be proud of together, and that people could go back years from now and look at it and say, look what we did. this is an amazing project. And that's the only reason I did this. And I can tell you the people that sit on these committees are amazing people. Okay, you may not like what they stand for personally, but I can tell you from being at every meeting, their personal agendas, political agendas, nothing like that ever played any part in the decisions that we made to help make our town a better place. And really, I believe that's what volunteering is about, right? It's about bringing the community together and showing each other the kind of town that we want to live in. And that's all that we wanted to do. And I just feel like we're being caught in the crosshairs. I mean, I'm sorry for what happened 2 years ago. I had nothing to do with that. But now I feel like we're in the middle of this, and I really am just speechless, because it's been 2 years of really hard work. We've done amazing projects. I mean, if you've come to Winston Park, if you came to Easy Street, if you came to the seedling giveaway, the members of the community that have come out and participated, you know, they all take pride in our town and they love living here, and they want to plant more trees, and they want to come to events where they can be part of something that makes their town better. I mean, we've applied for grants. We got a $10,000 PSE injury grant for the green team, and we're doing a plastic reduction campaign in 2022. There's just like so many things that this group has worked so hard to do. And I mean, I've worked with all of you. You've been supportive in every way. And I'm very upset by, you know, the termination notice, but all I can say is, you know, all the work that was done from the heart, and it was done with the best intentions, and it's because we love this town and we love living here. I mean, my grandparents lived here, my parents lived here, and all I wanted to do was get back to my town. So I hope that I can continue to serve. It's been a privilege and a pleasure, and it's been great. Everything that I've learned from everyone on the committees, the commissions, the town. I mean, everyone's taught me so much. And I just wanted to say, you know, I just wanted to quote Margaret Mead in the end to say, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And I'm so grateful to have had the privilege to meet all those committed citizens and share their gifts with our community.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Next up, I have John McCabe bringing into the room. John, if you could please turn on your camera.
I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize. I'm on my phone. I'm not able to use the camera. But my name is John McCabe, and I live at 26 Taunton Drive. I've been around for a while, and I observed what was done when it was decided to change to the mayor's appointments for the shade tree. And one of the things that was done was change the township ordinance to be in line with what was going on. And by skipping that the second time around, I think you put yourself in jeopardy. I mean, Mr. Clark doesn't believe that, but the ordinances should line up with what the appointments are. And if you had to change it back in 2019, I don't understand why you don't have to change it in 2022. So that's my one point. My second point is I want to thank Councilman Bonovich and Councilwoman Brennan for their stating that, you know, to work together and to do the people's governing and work. And I think all of your fellow council members and the mayor are with you on that. And I pledge, and everyone knows that I'm the municipal Democratic chairman, and I pledge to let you do your work and not interrupt you with idiotic statements and trying to argue with members on the council dais. I will not do that, but I hope my counterpart, Mr. DeBella, takes this pledge also, because I honestly am tired of watching him and others go after the mayor or now do the politicking from the council floor instead of doing government. So let's get it right. And let's do politics outside the building, and let's do governing inside the building. With that, I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCabe. Next, we have Mr. William Field coming in.
Hi, this is William Field, 27 Spring Hill Drive in Howell. I'm not sure you can hear me. I don't have a camera, which seems to work. I don't know how to turn it on. So I don't have a camera, I guess. I'm on one, but I don't know that you can see me. So I just have a comment. I've been living in town here for 27 years. I've worked with many members of many commissions here, Democrat and Republican. They all seem to do everything they can to make the town a better place for open space, for shade tree, for recycling, for all the things that keeps the town working. These are all volunteers. I've been out of touch for the last 2 or 3 years because of my work obligations. I'm just stunned that the township attorney felt 3 years ago that one way of doing it was appropriate. And so we made a law which made that work. And now he suddenly changes his mind with nothing else happening. I'm just confused and I'm kind of stunned by this. And that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Dan Stenger.
Hello, I'm Dan Stinger. I live at 81 Crest Drive in Howell. First, I just want to say, Councilwoman Brennan, I heard you say that you had COVID. So I just wanted to say I hope you feel better and that your family feels better. In reference to this meeting, I just wanted to echo Chairman McCabe that 2 wrongs don't make a right. I really don't understand the deputy mayor's assertion that because the wrong thing was done 2 years ago, that now because the tables have turned, it needs to be done now. Like, that's literally the definition of political posturing, right? Is just kind of, being performative based off of what happened before, 2 years ago. So we're just going to do it now just to get back at you. And I just think that really just makes our town look bad in general, because that's gaslighting. It's really no other way to put it. is the thing that our new deputy mayor is doing. So that's really all I wanted to say. I think that I really just support Councilman Bonovich and the mayor all the way with this, because it just doesn't make any sense to just go back and forth. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have Crystal. Bring it into the room. Crystal, if you could please turn your camera on and state your name and address for the record.
Hi, this is Crystal Dias, 15 Menden Drive in Howell. There's no camera option on here, so not sure.
Okay.
If we get on camera. But anyway, it's basically Lisa did say a lot of what I was going to say. So I'm also a shade tree member for the past 4 or 5 years now. And what I'd like to say to our township manager is basically that a lot of the grants that we applied for have been worked on very, very hard, and planning has been put in place to go ahead and send everybody home and send a new group in. I was there when all this happened in 2019. And in 2019, if it wasn't for Mr. Mertens, I wouldn't know what I would have done. He was my guide. He was my person that actually was able to help me figure out what the preceding volunteers were doing and how to proceed from there. The same thing as if you were planning to do it this time, is you need to have some people in play, people that have terms still not expired, to be able to carry out what's already been planned, approved by council, and now all these grants coming in with the plans that were put in play. There's a lot of trees going in, a lot of different projects, and we're working with environmental. We've been working with Green Team and working very, very well with totally nonpartisan objectives there. So I'm just imploring you to basically, as Lisa said, it's a very emotional issue for a lot of the members. I don't expect them all to come on, but I really think you should think about this and help us be able to help the town by carrying out these projects that everyone here approved of and was looking forward to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Valerie McPhee. Ms. McPhee, if you could turn on your camera, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, yes, I'm on my phone, so I can't do the camera.
Oh, okay.
My name is, Valerie McPhee. I live at 84 Brook Hill Drive, Howell, New Jersey. As the mayor stated, I'm the only person on the shade tree whose term has expired. And I had been appointed 2019 to fill a vacancy that was a partial term. And so I have not served 5 years, I've served 2. But in this last year, under Lisa's leadership, we all got the core training through Rutgers urban forestry training. And we did that online this fall. And then we went to the Shade Tree Conference as a group, not sending 1 or 2 people as they've done in the past, but we went, all of us, and we went to classes. And part of what we were doing there that the town paid for us to do was to continue our education and to get points towards certification of, I believe, to continue to be a tree city. There's certain obligations that the town has to fulfill. And the Shade Tree Commission that I have been privileged to serve on has done that. And that's what we were doing by getting certified and by going to the conference. I would hate to see all that disappear, because if the people that are certified and are learning to do the job correctly are not reappointed or at least left to finish their terms, I think that would be bad for Howell. I really do. I'm a little emotional because I did not expect to be no longer part of the Shade Tree. I hope that my application that I put in November will be considered. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Dawn Van Brunt.
Hi, good evening. My
State your
camera is
name and
on.
address, please.
Sure, Dawn Van Brunt, 21 East Shenandoah Road, Howell. My camera is on as well. I think we might just be having some technical difficulties that you're unable to see us. But again, I wanted to speak on behalf of myself regarding the Shade Tree Commission. I currently serve as the secretary on our Shade Tree Commission, and naturally, echoing everybody else, I was very hurt to receive the letter regarding the appointment authority. We've all worked tirelessly, super well together, really trying to better our community. I don't want to go on and on, but I know Lisa stated quite a bit, but we have all worked amazingly well together. I've done a lot of volunteer work, and lots of times you get groups together and you don't see eye to eye, you don't work as a team. The group that we have is amazing. It truly is. And it's really disappointing that this may be broken up. And I completely understand that things in the past have been done incorrectly. And as people have also stated, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Volunteers that have dedicated their time had nothing to do with that decision. Why punish another group of dedicated citizens? It just truly is not fair. I really remember how excited I was when I found out that I was appointed. I was ecstatic. This is something that I've always wanted to do. I've been called a tree hugger all of my life. It's just something that I was uber passionate about, and being able to do something to better my community really just brought that, you know, to the next level for me. We've worked on many projects together that are currently mid-project. So now we're going to possibly have a new group of individuals come in and pick up where we left off, which is going to be difficult to be done. I'm sorry, but we've worked so well together that I really don't think you're going to get another group to do that. I'm frustrated. I've been extremely emotional over this, and truly I'm just plain exhausted watching the political chaos that ensues in this town. I really thank you for the time that I have volunteered, and I do hope that you will allow me the opportunity to continue to serve, and the other members as well, of course. Thank you so very much, and I wish you all well, health, and a very happy new year.
Thank you. Again, I'll make a statement. If anybody wishes to address the council, please raise your hand. We still have a few more on the list, but I just wanted to remind everyone. Next, I have Steve Morlino.
Good evening. I don't see any way to turn my camera on. I don't know what kind of platform we're using here, but typically Zoom has a microphone and a camera that you click on in order to initiate that, but I don't see that anywhere on this Zoom platform that you're using. So I would ask that you take a look at that and see how you can improve this so that I can turn my camera on. But anyway, with that being said, I want to congratulate Ms. Richmond on being appointed as Deputy Mayor. Congratulations, Ms. Brennan. I hope you're feeling better. I want to wish everyone a happy new year, prosperous, healthy one moving forward. With that said, you know, I've heard a few comments here. I'm actually shocked to hear that notices were sent to the members of the Shade Tree Commission terminating their services pending this appointment this evening. If someone can let me know, I seem to recall back in 19 when the ordinance was changed, the sitting members of the Shade Tree Commission were asked if they wanted to remain. Is that true? The mayor's acknowledging that that's true. So I guess my question is, at this point, have the sitting members of the current Shade Tree Commission been asked if they want to remain? Has that option been given to the volunteers who have spent a lot of their time at the township's expense getting educated and at their personal time dedicating their services? Have they been given that opportunity?
Yes, they have. It was included in the letter that was sent, and some of them are actually being reappointed.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. And my other comment would be, I'm actually glad to hear that, is I heard Mr. Clark say that this is the mayor's position to nominate people and then the manager's position to appoint them. Is that my understanding? Is that how this works?
No, it's not. Under the Faulkner Act, any appointment power of the mayor is automatically delegated to the manager under our form of government. So it's not that the mayor, elects and the manager appoints. No, they're the manager's appointments.
Okay, I'm a little surprised to hear that, because I was part of the committee that back in the 90s changed the form of government here. We thought we were doing the right thing, and I can tell you today, I think we did the wrong thing, but we will move that forward in the future. But with that being said, a lot of the sitting members of this committee, I hope they're reappointed, because having been a former member of the Shade Tree Commission and several other committees in this township, it takes a lot of time and expertise and dedication to come up to speed with what the committee has been working on, how they get there, the laws and the parameters that guide such committees. And, the Shade Tree Committee performs a very important task. They look at a lot of the proposed developments and a lot of the proposed different changes to the topography, et cetera, in the township, along with the Environmental Commission. And they look at what's going on and make recommendations based on the best interest of the community. To make major changes, one has to wonder if we're not somehow looking to allow outside influences to somehow direct who we put on these committees and how they actually respond to some of these things that come before them, because as you know, they get to see plans and things prior to them being released to the public in most cases, and they have the ability to comment on them. So I'm hoping, and again, I understand, and this is no deference to the manager, he doesn't live in Howell, is that correct? You're not a Howell Township resident?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. I failed to state, my name is Steve Morlino, 38 years here at 51 Peachstone Road in Howell. So I've been around a while and looked at a lot of things that go back and forth here, some of them partisan and some of them should never be partisan. And so my comments are meant to say, you know, people are appointed to all of these various committees and things on a rotational basis. There's a staggering of the appointment, and there's a reason for that. You can't change all of the members
Remaining.
at once because they don't know the background of what was going on. And that's why there's a staggered appointment, and the 5-year terms overlap and some of the other terms overlap so that there's continuity of services. And I heard several people say they've applied for grants. That's terrific. When I sat on the Shade Tree Committee, we didn't have any expertise to apply for grants, not that I'm aware of. We did have an individual that was a certified shade tree expert that seemed to make some money off that operation, and that was a travesty at the time, if you ask me. That was very political, and I don't want to see us ever have to go back to that. Okay, so basically what I'm suggesting is that we continue to allow the governing body members who were elected by the people and that are not really from the outside of the Howell community. They know the members of the community best. They know what their talents are. They know what their strong points are. They know what their weaknesses are. They know what their political involvement is, if any. And I'm hoping that we can continue to appoint people who want to do the work of the township on these committees for the good of the township and not for any other self-serving reason, or not for any reason coming out of some other county, Ocean County, let's say. We don't need influence from another county trying to influence what we do here with land development in Howell Township. And it seems
5 minutes.
that I see going on here. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, but we'll be watching very closely from the sidelines here, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye on things. So I encourage the manager to please reappoint the people that are already on this committee. They seem to be doing.
Morlino, you need to wrap it up, please.
Yes, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you. I think they're doing a great job, and I hope we have continuity and that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Thank you very much. Have a great new year.
Okay, next we have Mr. Richard Mertens.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, council members. Happy New Year. Pam, I want to congratulate you on becoming our new deputy mayor. And Susan, I hope you're feeling better. I'm a little bit in a different situation because I was one of the remaining members from prior to 2019. I spoke up at the meeting in March of 2019. I was not happy about the members being taken off that had put in the same amount of time and dedication that this group is doing now. So it's very difficult for me because I know the previous group did an excellent job. They set the foundation for this group, and this group is continuing to bring all the good things the prior group did. Mr. Deegan, I'm not sure how things are going to go with who you're going to reappoint. I would like to remain because I know that my priority is once I enter that room with this group of people, my thoughts are what I can do best for this township, and I will continue to do that. And I hope many of the members also have that opportunity. And I would even welcome some of the older members to come back because I do feel that they were taken off and they, you know, it wasn't fair to them either. So I see it on both sides, and I just hope moving forward that people can finish out their terms and this doesn't happen every couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Janice. Ooh, I apologize. Iwanek. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, that's very good. Thank you very much. It's Janice Iwanek, 60 Apple Tree Road. I've lived in Howell for 40 years, and clearly in the 40 years, I have seen many trees down in Howell Township. And the reason why I chose to speak at tonight's meeting is that we always hear about the fighting about overdeveloping and everything. But I think that I had followed some of the things that the Shade Tree Commission has been doing. I've heard about their plans for the future. I absolutely love the idea of having an arboretum in Howell. So many other communities in Monmouth County have really awesome places to go to and parks to go to. We have the land and the space to do that, where we don't have to leave town to go somewhere to take a hike. Also, I happen to live in the Oak Glen development, and I've been following closely. I've heard that they had some ideas on how to help our development, because the other day, someone who hadn't seen my house in quite a while because of the pandemic dropped by, and they were like, "Janice, what happened to all of your trees?" The Oak Glen development, which I've lived in now for 16 years. I used to live in Candlewood, but the ash tree disease that affected the trees here, I mean, in the past 4 months alone, probably 25 more trees on the front lawns of our homes have all been cut down. I mean, it's just barren. And I think that Shade Tree has a budget. And I think that from what I've heard and what I've seen, that the committee members there have taken it very responsible. Their responsibility is all the trees and everything in the whole town, whether trees are safe enough to still remain standing to protect people and cars and everything else, but to protect the amount of trees that are taken down and put back in when builders come in and do a development. People have a right to their property, but Shade Tree is also about helping to plant trees. The seedling giveaway is wonderful, but on my front lawn, I don't want a little tiny 30-inch, little tiny half-inch stem twig as a tree. My daughter lives in another community in New Jersey, and it's amazing how their town actually will, if a tree is down for whatever reason, a disease or a storm, they come right in and they plant another tree, like a sizable 15-foot tree that has like a 3-inch trunk. I would like to see the Shade people have the ability to, use some of that budget money to accomplish those things. And again, I don't remember who said it earlier, but the comment about taxpayer money, I go to Board of Ed meetings too, and people don't like that because, you don't have children in the school system, but I'm a taxpayer. I'm a senior citizen. I'm a taxpayer. If we train these people and you want to change the procedure for how people get elected, keep them now and change it. And I also volunteer a lot on a lot of other things, not just in Howell Township, but within the Monmouth County community. How you treat volunteers is really important. So I thank you for all of your time and wish you all a good New Year's. And I hope that you will make a good decision and show that you'll all work together and move forward in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Andre DeGarmo. Mr. DeGarmo, if you please state your name and address for the record and can address the council.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Oops, hold on a second. Andre, I apologize. If you could start over, I accidentally knocked you out briefly.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can. I apologize.
Good evening, everyone. Andre DeGarmo, 34 Porter Road, owner of Highland Kennel on Maxim Southern Road, member of the Shade Tree Committee. And I'd like to echo all the sentiments I've heard from other members of the Shade Tree, Lisa Dodd, Rich Mertens, Valerie McFay, who I hope you will consider putting back on. She's been a great member with us. It's a solid team. Everybody has different strengths, and we are able to utilize those different strengths on the Shade Tree Committee. One of the things we've looked at is putting in an arboretum. And we went and took our own time and surveyed and went from property to property looking to identify a good piece. And I think that we have done that. We have found it. We rewrote the Woodlands Management Plan, which has been sitting with Joe Clark for over a year now. We're waiting to see if that's going to be approved. A lot of work went into that. A lot of work. It had not been touched in something like 19 or 20 years. So a lot of things have happened with this new group. Dawn Van Brunt, our secretary, actually created a logo for the shade tree, which is nice. We now have t-shirts and some branding to go with the committee, the commission. And I worked with Stephen over at Town Hall to get us a Facebook page set up so that we can tell people of the town what the Shade Tree Committee's been up to. And we've done some great things in the last few years. We really have. We've got a group of volunteers to help us plant just about 800 trees over at one of the local parks. And to break this group up now, I think would be a real travesty. You know, we're just getting our traction. Some have been with us a year, some have been 2 years. It is a staggered type thing. And if we did something wrong in 2019, I'm unaware of it. I don't want to be punished for it. I would like to move forward. And, you know, I'm in my, I think my term expires in 2025. So I'd have another few years to serve. I'd like to see the projects we've started come to fruition. And I would like to also put this out there. We've been asking for 2 years since Crystal was chairman and I was vice chairman. We have been asking to sit down with the CFO to go over the money. And my understanding is that's supposed to happen quarterly. And in the 9 quarters that I've been there, this has not happened. So if we could arrange for that to happen so that we could sit down and have a look at shade tree money and what we have and where we could spend it, that would be a wonderful thing. So Happy New Year. Thank you for listening to me. My best to all of you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Kathy Novak.
Hello,
State your name and address, please, Ms. Novak, and you can address the council.
Kathy Novak, 16 Stratton Drive in Howell. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope you all have a healthy New Year. I'm a little surprised to hear that some of the members of the Shade Tree Commission will be reappointed and some will not. How does one distinguish who gets reappointed and who does not? What is it based on? Since the manager is going to be picking and choosing, I would like to know, how would you do that, Mr. Gagan?
I review the applications that are submitted. Then we've asked for feedback from the chairs of each of the groups, and I've solicited feedback from the governing body as well.
Okay. I would like to point out that Deputy Mayor Richmond stated that the Environmental Commission was fired at the same time as the Shade Tree was earlier, and that is not true. It was a misstatement. It was only the Shade Tree Commission that was affected in 2019. It was not.
My apologies, Ms. Novak, my apologies.
Well, I just think that, how did the Environmental Commission get pulled into this with the Shade Tree?
Because that was another group that was clarified where the appointment should lie.
Okay. Okay. My big concern as a Howell resident, citizen, taxpayer, if you can just arbitrarily say that this shade tree ordinance that was introduced and adopted in 2019 is invalid now, what's to say that you can't arbitrarily do that with any of our Howell Township ordinance at any time?
The ordinance is valid. There's no question the ordinance is valid. It's just that under the Faulkner Act and under our existing ordinances, it's clear that wherever the power of appointment is given to mayor under our form of government, this is state law, so it's set by the legislature, not locally, that the power actually belongs to the manager in our council manager form of government.
You're saying that this ordinance is valid, and yet now you're saying that the manager is taking it. I don't understand how you cannot introduce a new ordinance and cross out like you do on all the other ones, withdraw a line through the parts that are not right and put the new parts in. I don't understand, because then it could happen to any ordinance.
No, it can't. And let me read again what it says in the Faulkner Act, because this exact language is in our ordinance as well. It says, any provision of general law conferring the appointing power or other power upon the mayor or other executive head of the municipality shall, again, mandatory, be construed as meaning the municipal manager in a municipality governed under this article. So it's crystal clear. The word mayor in that ordinance means manager under state law and under our ordinances. It's a simple interpretation. We have support from not just myself, but 2 separate outside counsel on it. So our position is defensible and everything is being done. Nobody's being punished here. This is not a political hatchet job. What it is it brings our picks in with the way it should be done under state law. So that way, anybody selected by the manager to sit on Shade Tree, it's an unassailable choice then.
Okay, I would like to read a letter that I wrote to all of council in February 10th, 2021. And Councilwoman Brennan was not on when I sent this letter, so I'm reading it really for her benefit. And I will read the letter I sent and then Joe Clark's response. Dear Mayor and Council, as a concerned Howell resident taxpayer, I am bringing to your attention that the recent appointment of Mr. Robert Nicastro to a 5-year term on the Manasquan River Regional Sewerage Authority, while presently serving as a Class 4 Howell Planning Board member, is not only unethical but illegal. I ask that each council member individually read the case law, and I'll spell it, SCANNAPIECO v. Abate. I know the township.
1 minute remaining.
May I have 3 minutes additional, Mayor? I know the township attorney has advised you on this matter, but respectfully, each one of you should do your own due diligence to find out if the legal advice being given to you would pass muster when challenged. This in no respect reflects anyone's competence, but does question who the township professional employees serve. As you are all aware, until Mr. Nicastro was appointed to MRSA, while simultaneously being a Class 4 Planning Board member, there was a posting on the Howell Township website specifically noting that no one could serve on both boards at the same time, and since his appointment, that post has been removed. In McDonough versus Roche Supra, the court stated, in negotiations, the county board is bound to consider the interests of all of its citizens, while the local governing body has a like obligation to the citizenry of the municipality alone. No man, much less a public fiduciary, can sit on both sides of a bargaining table. He cannot, in one capacity, with undivided loyalty upon proposals he advances in his other role. Accordingly, both under NJSA 4055D23A and the common law bar against dual holding of incompatible offices, the court finds that Abate, a Class 4 member of the Marlborough Township Planning Board, cannot serve simultaneously as a member of the Western Monmouth Utilities Authority. My requesting that the Howell governing body consider taking a closer look at the legality of this matter is not just for myself, but for the community of Howell and its future. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. And I did receive a letter response from Mr. Clark. It says, and it's from February 10th, 2021. This is the exact issue I looked at last year. I also reviewed the same case. Although it was originally unclear whether a member of the planning board could sit on MRSA, my review of the MRSA membership indicated that the chairman of MRSA was also the chairman of the Freehold Township Planning Board and a class 4 member. When I inquired about this situation with the MRSA attorney and the Freehold Township attorney, the response was that they had reviewed the issue and there was no conflict and provided a letter to that effect. Consequently, Mr. Castro was seated. So I had never heard, you know, I still question that matter. And I know that your Mr. Clark's stance is that we should sue if we don't like it. And I also know that this these double appointments that Mr. Castro has to be challenged. Thank you, Mayor, and have a very pleasant rest of the week. That's
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Miss Tina Smilek.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can. State your name and address, please.
Tina Smilek, 33 Charles Street. I just wanted clarification from that letter. It says 42 towns are under the same form of government as we are, though. And out of those 42, only 2 of them use the manager for appointments? Is that correct?
Mayor, would you like to address that? You had the letter handy.
I'm pulling it up right now. Okay. It says, in support of my client's position that it is uncertain whether NJSA 40-69A-98 applies to the power to appoint STC members, it should be noted that among the 18 of the 42 New Jersey municipalities that operate under the council manager form of government and which have an STC or similar shade tree advisory committee, STC members are appointed by the Township Council in 13, by the mayor in 3, and by the manager in 2. Similarly, 33 of these 42 municipalities have an environmental commission or similar environmental advisory committee. And in 19 of them, the mayor appoints the members of the environmental commission. 11 of the council make the appointments and 3 are from the manager.
Okay, so we're saying all these towns are doing this wrong. Is that basically what we're saying here? Except for 2 that do use the manager to appoint all this. I'm just looking for some
That's what the author of
clarification.
this letter is saying, apparently.
But is it true? I mean, has anybody looked at the other towns? Has anybody requested the information from the other towns and actually reviewed what other towns are doing?
No.
Okay, so shouldn't we, I mean, something's wrong here, and you might be totally right. Maybe everybody else is doing it wrong. Maybe we're doing it wrong, but shouldn't we? I mean, for the sake, I've heard just from just about every member of the Shade Tree tonight, and they all seem deeply passionate. And I was there when last Shade Tree, and they seem deeply passionate too. You know, it's hard to see residents taken off, and it's hard to see. And I watch this town, and there's so much politics being played in this town, and I'm not going to blame one side over the other here. There's enough playing going on both sides, but these residents are heartfelt. They're reaching out to you. We have 42 towns all in our form of government, and nobody knows what this statute really means. You're all taking a guess, and the guess is more towards council making an appointment, the mayor or manager being the last of all of them. So why wouldn't we need clarification? I mean, shouldn't somebody have clarification? There has to be. I mean, who do you talk to all these towns are doing it differently. Shouldn't you all be doing it the same?
You can call those other towns and inquire. We believe we're changing things and doing them correctly.
You believe that you are in the minority of the way you want to, of the way you're interpreting this. Howell is in the minority of in their interpretation of this law. But has anybody, the town should reach out to these other towns and say, why did you interpret it this way? Why did you interpret it that way? Or somebody should reach out to the state and say, please tell me how to interpret this law, because it seems like none of us know what we're doing. Because it really doesn't look like anybody knows what they're doing right now. Lawyer says, 2 years ago, it's done this way. Now he says it's done this way. We have different towns doing different things under the same form of government. There is no direction here, and there's no backup for the way any way is done. Maybe it's not the mayor's appointment. Maybe it's not the manager's appointment. Maybe it's council's appointment. There is just so much here, and none of you're all just interpreting it how you want. Please, these are residents that care about what they're doing. They're volunteering. They're doing an excellent job. I'm not saying the other ones before were doing it. Is there a way to get, a combination on both? Can we extend the shade tree? I don't know if we can extend the shade tree for more people, but all these residents are just, I ask you not to make any decisions tonight and really clearly look into it, because it doesn't seem like anybody has any knowledge besides reading statute that everybody is misinterpreting.
1 minute remaining.
So that's all I wanted to say, because that really got to me. Out of 42 towns that do the same form of government, only 2 of them are appointing a manager to make this decision. 2 out of 42. So something's wrong here. After saying that, Councilwoman Brennan, please feel better. Tough times to go through right now. Councilwoman Richmond, congratulations on Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry, not Councilwoman, now Deputy Mayor. Congratulations. Mayor Berger, Mayor Bonovich, maybe. Councilman Bonovich, Councilwoman O'Donnell, all of you, please have a happy new year. Let's make this a good new year. Let's try to work this all together. Let's work together. We haven't done it in the past. Let's drop everything and do what's best for the town. Okay? So happy new year, everyone. Brian, Joe, have a good day.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark. Before we go on to the next resident, is 9 the cap for a shade tree? Is there a cap? Is there a limit?
Yeah, 5 members, 2 alternates, state law. So there is a cap on it.
Okay. Just want to figure that out. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I have Mr. Michael Bernstein. Mr. Bernstein, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
I can't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, Michael Bernstein, 3 Colleen Court, Howell. First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. Councilman Brendan, I'm sorry you're so sick. I hope you feel better soon. One thing I haven't heard, and I really think it needs to be said, is there's dedicated people on the Shade Tree Commission that are, and some of them are not going to deserve the fate that they're going to receive. Nobody would, but from the bottom of my heart, I really want to thank them all, because while the shade tree's been around for a very, very long time, you've seen some things, but with the group that we have right now, you've never seen everything that's been accomplished by this group of people. And to just kick them out the door is just so wrong. But I am very, very grateful to them. They helped me out on the project, on the property that I have, that I'm responsible for. They've really, really done a lot of good. And to take them apart right now is very, very wrong. It doesn't help the town. I don't know who it helps. And but I just wanted them to know that people did notice the work that they did. People did see everything that they did. They saw the dedication. And I watched Dawn Van Brunt as a volunteer get so many more volunteers. It was a joy to watch, and they did so much. And I hope that you're going to I hope you guys are going to make the right decision and keep who's there, because that's the best decision for the town. Again, thank you all. A very happy new year. I hope it's a good year for all involved. I hope it's a good year for the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other members of the public that wish to address the governing body? I will remind you, the agenda instructions indicate that each person is only allowed one turn to address the council. So I'll give it a moment, see if we have any new people to speak. Jerry Barron. Oh, no, his hand was up briefly and then went down. Okay, Jerry Barron. Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, Jerry Barron's my name. The address is 37 Danella Way in Howell. Just a quick question. I know from being on the Environmental Commission, we got a handbook every year, or well, at least at the start of the year anyway. But it says in the handbook that the mayor chooses to appoint the chairperson of the Environmental Commission. Is that going to happen this year? Or are you going to override a state statute?
Well, I think that's been addressed many times. The state statute for our form of government indicates where the mayor is indicated for a selection, that is to be read as the manager. Do you have any other questions?
Ms. Richmond, congratulations, by the way, on deputy mayorship. And Ms. Brennan, get healthy. Welcome to the Fun and Games. And have a happy and productive new year, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor, I'm seeing no other hands raised at this point.
Okay, so if there's no one else that would like to speak, I would like to close this portion of the meeting. I'm going to, so I think the way we move forward to make it easy, what I'll do is I'll say resolution 22-1, the Affordable Housing Administrator, and I'll ask for a motion, and then you'll give me your recommendations, and then we'll vote on the motion, and then we'll go to the next resolution. Are we good with that?
Mayor, can I jump in? I just have one more
Sure.
point to address what Mr. Barron said. So going back to what Councilman Bonovich asked, our ordinance says that there's a total of 7 members, right? So state law clarifies it's 5 members plus 2 alternates. So there's your 7. And then in terms of the chair, both our ordinance and state law indicates that the chair is elected by the membership itself. In other words, the Shade Tree Commission elects its own chair.
Not environmental.
Joe, if I can clarify, I believe that the question about the chair was referred to the Environmental Commission, not the Shade Tree.
Yeah,
That
that's
portion.
probably a different issue then.
Okay.
It is. Okay. So let's go one by one. Resolution 22-1, Affordable Housing Administrator. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to CGP&H.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yes.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Ev, you're muted.
Councilwoman
I'll sleep.
Yes.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-2, Affordable Housing Attorney Dare Hayden. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The lines were going through the next thing. Affordable Housing Attorney. May I have a
Motion, yeah, motion for Pashman, Stein, Mulder, and Hayden.
A second.
roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-3, Affordable Housing Planner.
Motion for Leon Avakian.
Second.
roll call, Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-4, architectural services.
I'd like to offer 3, Sutton Brio Architects, Tiscaris, Millman, and Netta Architects.
Second.
roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-5, auditor.
I'd like to offer Holman, Frania, and Allison.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry, Councilman, what did you say?
Oh, we both said it at the same time, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
I'll second it.
okay. Roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-6, bond council.
Motion for Gluck Lower?
Second.
roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-7, consulting engineers.
I'd like to offer Nigerian Associates, CME, T&M, Borough Engineers, Colliers, and French Perillo.
okay.
Can you repeat that again?
Sure. Nigerian, CME, T&M, Borough, Colliers, French and Perillo. 7, there are 7.
6, actually.
I'm sorry, 6, my
Yeah,
mistake.
I got lost. I'll second that.
Roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes. Resolution 22-8, continuing disclosure compliance.
I'll offer NW Financial.
Second.
Roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-10, grants consultant.
I think we're on
Financial Advisory.
22-9.
Oh,
And I'll
forgive
offer
me, I'm
NW
sorry.
Financial.
Can I please have resolution 22-9? May I have a motion for financial advisory services?
Motion for NW Financial.
May I have a second?
Second.
I'll second it again.
Thank you.
Roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-10, grants consultant.
Colliers Engineering, please.
Second.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-11, labor attorney.
I'd like
May
to
I have-
offer Dasty, Murphy, and McGuckin.
If I could add to that motion? I don't know if that's proper. We're
sorry.
talking.
You do the motion.
Yeah, what is the motion? It's for Labor Council and who are the selections?
You have 2
Dasty.
selections.
Dasty, Murphy, McGuckin, Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs.
Okay, so we have two separate, Dasty Murphy, Jerry Giacobbe. Okay.
I second.
okay. Councilman Bonavich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Resolution 22-12, licensed tree expert.
Make the motion for CMA?
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brandon,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-13, municipal prosecutor. May I have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to offer Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, Jacob with emphasis on Sean Keen.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Resolution 22-14, public defender.
I'd like to offer Ray Raya.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Who is this for?
Ray Raya.
Public defender.
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-15, real estate appraiser.
I'd like to offer two, Stockler Realty and Sterling DeSanto Associates.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-16, risk management consultant.
Nominate Brown and Brown.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-17, special counsel.
I'd like to offer Dousty Associates, Dasty Murphy, McGuckin, Euclid, Casource, Connors, Weiner Law, and lastly, Gluck Walworth, and lastly, Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs.
I have a second.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Resolution 22-18, tax appeal attorney. May I have a
Motion for Saco Realty Services Group and
Excuse-
Sterling DeSanto.
excuse me, Mayor, 22-18 is tax appeal appraisal services.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we said.
Forgive me. I went to the next page. 22-18, tax appeal appraisal services.
And that's Saco Realty Services Group and Sterling.
Second.
DeSanto Associates.
Yeah.
Yep.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Resolution 22-19, tax appeal attorney.
I'd like to nominate Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs.
Second.
okay, Councilman Bonavich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
No. Resolution 22-20, tax foreclosure attorney. May I have a motion?
Motion for Dasty, Murphy, McGuckin, Ulicky, Casource, and Connors.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
No.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Verger,
No. Resolution 22-21, Title Search Services.
I'd like to offer CW Solutions.
Second,
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Verger,
Yes. Resolution 22-22, Township Planner. May I have a motion?
I'd like to
Motion for
nominate Leon Avakian.
Yes, second,
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Verger,
Yes. Resolution 22-23, Utility Engineer. May I have a motion?
Make the motion for Collier's Engineering, T&M, and CNM.
Second.
Councilman Bonavich,
Yes,
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Verger,
Yes. I'm going to read the following resolutions that can be voted on at one time unless someone would like to change that. May I have a motion for resolutions 22-24 through 22-32?
32.
I'll
May I
make
have
a motion.
Second.
roll call, Councilman Bonavich,
Yes,
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Verger,
Yes. So at this point, Brian, you wanted to flip, right?
Yes, ma'am, if that's acceptable to the governing body, if I could do my
That's fine.
appointments. Okay. If you'd like, I'll just go ahead and read through them.
Where are we starting?
Well, there's the one planning board, the class 2 member. That is listed under the council's appointments, but that should be with mine.
got it. I see it.
Okay, the class 2 member, official of the township, a 1-year term. Manager's appointment is Brian Greenfield, the deputy DPW director.
Good choice.
Then
Yeah,
moving down,
Great choice.
thank you. Moving down, our public agency compliance officer is Sean Canning, who is our QPA. That's generally who that title replies with.
Gotcha.
Getting into the environmental commission, member 3-year term is Gina Cristiano. Member and planning, member 3-year term is Nick Huzar. Member unexpired 3-year term expiring 12/31/2022 is Jerry Barron. Member expired 3-year term expiring 12/31/2023 is Michael Pollard. Member unexpired 3-year term expiring 12/31/2023 is Kelly Machu. Member unexpired 3-year term expiring 12/31/2022 is Lisa Dowd. Member unexpired 3-year term expiring 12/31/2022, Stanley Gawarek. Alternate 1 member, 2-year term is Jeffrey Alfano. Alternate unexpired 2-year term expiring 12/31/2022 is Daniel O'Rourke. And the chair to be appointed by the manager is Lisa Dowd. Moving on to the Shade Tree Commission. Member unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2025 is Dominic Paramonte. Member unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2024 is Nick Ficcarelli. Member unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2025 is Rich Mertens. Member 5-year term is Glenn Cantor. Member unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2022 is Lisa Dowd. Member, unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2024 is Valerie McPhee. Member, unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2023 is Jerry Barron. Alternate 1 member, unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2023 is Tom O'Donnell. Alternate 2 member, unexpired 5-year term expiring 12/31/2023 is Elsie Zacchino. Mayor, that concludes all the appointments that have been assigned to me.
Nicely done there, manager.
Thank you.
Mayor, you're muted.
Muted.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Brian, I'll
ma'am.
read the committee, the title of the committee, and then you will read the names under that have been chosen.
For the council appointments, I would suggest that one of them make that, probably a motion.
Yeah,
And
I'll make the motion for
Well-
Howell Alliance.
Okay. May I have a second?
I'll make the motion for Howell Alliance 1-year term. Robert D. Leonard, Nicholas Ficarelli, Jonathan Mazza, Kate McCarthy, John Aliano, Jenna Ribbon, Evelyn O'Donnell, Joseph Isola, Maureen McBride, Ron Sanasak, Julie Atkins, Mary Ellen Lawrence, Frank Mazzone, Paul Mazzio, Jamie Cerrito, Jamie Higgins, Susan Brennan, Kenneth Pecoraro, Marnie Elson Victor, and Stanley Goring.
Councilman, excuse me, as I was going through the list, Jessica Burrell, I don't know that you mentioned her name. I think you kind of, because gets all those J's in a row. So I just want to make sure we included her.
What was that?
Jessica Burrell under Rabone. Is she not there?
No,
She's
I
not
don't
on
have
this
her.
list.
So add her in.
It's not on my list.
More the merrier, add her in.
Yeah, Jessica, I'm sorry.
It's not on the list.
Mayor, we just appoint her right now or?
Add it, yeah, absolutely,
Okay,
just
okay.
add it.
Jessica Burrell, she was also,
Would second that for Mr. Bonovich.
Okay, roll call. Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. Okay, may I have a motion for the Farmers Advisory Committee?
Yes, I'll make a motion to appoint Nicholas Nichols.
Second,
Second?
Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. May I have a motion for the Municipal Green Team?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint the following individuals to the specific terms. I'm sorry, please bear with me. For the 1-year term, Teresa Berger as mayor, myself as the Township Council Person Designee, Brian Gahagan as our Township Manager, Sean Canning as our Purchasing Agent, Paul Novello as our Public Works Designee, Matthew Howard as our Director of Community Development, Mary Ann Cernak as our Member Lake Restoration Wildlife Management Member, Jerry Barron, Mason De Jesus, John Nahilia, Lawrence White, and Sandra Bodner as member volunteers.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Did you say Evelyn as well?
Oh, I believe that there would be an issue because that would put 3 council people on that,
Okay.
Yes,
on the
that's
green
correct.
team.
I
So
apologize.
therefore, I think we're going to hold off on that appointment and determine that at a later date.
Sounds
I know there's a motion on the floor in a second, but I just wanted to verify, are we not putting a shade tree member? Member on?
Yeah, well,
I didn't hear. Since the manager just appointed those tonight, I think it might behoove us to make that consideration so that we can do that at the next meeting as well? Since we will have to carry over the motion or carry over some of the appointments regardless.
Just
Would
for
that be acceptable?
clarification, yeah, so planning board and environmental and shade tree we're leaving blank until? Is that how we're doing that?
Fine with that.
I mean, that's, I guess, for clarity purposes, that'd be the right.
Right, I think that we would be able to address that at the next meeting. Is that satisfactory,
we-
Mr. Clark?
We can carry those picks until the next meeting and that'll be fine. We typically do a little bit of that type of work at the end, you know, on the next meeting where there's some things that are outstanding and we'll take care of it then.
I'm okay with that.
You, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
Was there a second?
Second,
Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes, ma'am. May I have a motion for the Lake Restoration and Wildlife Management Committee?
Be happy to make that motion and nominate Mr. Robert DeLeonard to the member. These are 5-year terms. Also, Mr. Vlad Markov, Howard Belton to the alternate 1 member, and the chair who would be appointed by Township Council, we would like to appoint Mr. Ed Runyon. That does leave 2 vacancies, however.
What?
I do believe, if I might, I believe that Mr. Runyon had resigned last year. Can we double check that?
Still on the website, but.
Okay, I could be wrong. All right, let's just check it.
But can you just confirm those names again for me, Councilman Brennan? I feel like I missed one.
I had Robert DeLeonard, Vlad Markov, Howard Belton.
Yep.
And and Kathy Novak?
No,
Ms. Novak?
she's not on.
Well, I'd like to put her alternate member 2, since she did put an application in.
Certainly.
Kathy Novak?
You guys are okay with that?
okay.
Thank you
as
for that
alternate
addition.
2 Alternate 2, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second,
Okay, and Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Deputy Mayor Richmond.
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. May I have a motion for the Manasquan River Regional Sewerage Authority, or MRRSA?
I'd like to make the motion to appoint Mr. Jesse Tantillo as the representative for a 5-year term.
I'd be happy to second.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. May I have a motion for the Matitaconk Watershed Implementation Committee?
Yes, I'll make the motion to appoint Ms. Lara Casper as representative for a 1-year term.
Second,
Councilman Bonovich,
yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger,
Yes. May I have a motion for the Mobile Home Rent Stabilization and Control Board?
Yes, I'd be happy to make the motion to appoint Mr. Jose Orozco to a member non-tenant 3-year term, Joan Butcher Farkas to a member non-tenant 3-year term, Gabrielle Combs to an alternate non-tenant 1-year term, and myself to an alternate non-tenant 1-year term.
I'll second.
So what about the chair?
I don't believe we have someone for that consideration at this moment, but maybe we could address that also at the next council meeting.
Mr. Clark, for clarification purposes, Cindy Lou Jordan, is she still there? I know we had some people resign and stuff, but wasn't she the chair?
No, Mr. Orozco was the chair last year. I believe Ms. Jordan's still on as a park owner, and we are expecting. So Robert Rouet was a member as a representative of park owner for many, many years. And he retired this year, and his counterpart in his company did not submit an application yet. So I'm anticipating getting one from that person as well. So again, as with as with the prior picks, we can table it until we get the applications and then mop it up next at the next meeting.
Sounds fine.
We don't have any outstanding business for the rent control board right now, so we can hold off on that.
And that's including appointing the chair, correct?
Correct.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. So we've already gone through on the planning board, the manager's appointment. We're going to go, I would like a motion for the planning board open terms.
I'd be happy to make that motion, Mayor. I'd like to appoint, make a motion to appoint Councilwoman Evelyn O'Donnell to the Class 3 member, council member 1-year term. Nick Huzar to the Class 4 and Environmental Commission member 3-year term. Joseph Cristiano, Class 4 member, 4-year term. And Dominic Paramonte, alternate 1 member, 2-year term.
I'll second those.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
No. Preservation Task Force. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make the motion to appoint Kelly Machu to the member 5-year term to the Preservation Task Force.
Second. Sorry.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. May I have a motion for the zoning board of adjustment?
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to appoint Mr. Matt Hughes to the member 4-year term and Mr. Matthew Gonzalez as an alternate 2 member 2-year term for the zoning board of adjustment.
I'll second that.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Richmond,
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. So at this point, we've gone through all of the other appointments, and I believe we are now at the consent agenda.
That's correct, Mayor.
All right, I'll make the motion to move resolutions R-2233 through resolution 22-41.
Second.
Councilman Bonovich,
Yes.
Councilwoman Brennan,
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Richmond, Deputy Mayor Richmond,
It's okay. Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes, ma'am. Do we have any unfinished business?
We do not.
There's no other information. The next information, I guess, is the meeting date, our following meeting date, which is on Tuesday, January 18th, 2020. And it begins at 7 p.m. I believe at this point, I'm going to say, Brian, it's going to be virtual at this point, the following meeting as well in January.
More than likely, depending on the situation, but we will post it to the website, with plenty of notice, whichever way we decide.
Okay, I just want people to be aware that it could be either way. So just, make sure you check. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good job, everybody.
Happy New
Good
Year,
night.
everybody.
Happy
New Year.
Year.
Stay safe.
Thank
Feel
you.
better, Suzanne.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night.
everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good night.